Hey guys, Manga here with a new video, and in this video we're going to be fixing my Copic marker mistake digitally. In this video, to keep things visually pleasing, we're going to be using Trafalgar Law from One Piece as a model. The illustration here shows a different artist trying to mimic different art styles from different popular series, drawing the same character, Trafalgar Law, in various styles. I just thought this would be fun to show, as it's always fun to see other people's iterations of a familiar character. You can also view this video as me drawing Trafalgar Law in my art style, which should be fun. Now, as usual, I go with pencil, and then I go in with ink, then a brush to fill in some blacks, and then I go in with the Copic markers. So what happened here was I was drawing normally, having a fun time, doing my thing, and eventually when it got to the Copic marker stage, and this happens to very new Copic markers where there's a lot of alcohol in them, if you leave them facing downwards for too long, they start to drip. And when it dripped the parts where you have some inking, and this, no one deserves to have this happen to them ever. But all hope wasn't lost. I knew I could finish the illustration and fix it digitally. Now, some people say that, traditional art is one and done. Like, if you make the mistake, it's done. But, nowadays with technology, you can still fix things. Hell, I could still fix this traditionally, but that's not what we're doing in this video. In this video, I'm going to focus on fixing this illustration in Photoshop digitally. Here, I'm just going to focus on the digital aspects of things. So I just soldiered on and finished the illustration, scanned it in, and in Photoshop, you will see how I fix that little Copic marker drop thing in Photoshop. Just put in some plus signs. I just thought it would be fun. I'm actually not too familiar with this character, but I always thought it was a cool design anytime I saw the drawing. I'm really behind on a lot of series, including One Piece. I'm probably like 4 years behind on One Piece, 3 years behind on Naruto, 3 or 2 years behind on Bleach, the manga. There's so many things. Gintama, I don't think I've read for like 4 years, and I would love to get back into them. So traditionally, I use the little white liner thing to give me an outline of the hand. And usually he's supposed to have a tattoo type of thing there that says death, and that's where the drip happened on the T. So here I'm going to use a lasso tool or an erase tool. Well, actually a brush. First, I'm going to make sure that I use the eyedropper tool to hit it on the white, so I make sure I have the exact white that's on the rest of the paper. And I'm not going to make that many layers, just to keep the traditional one layer feel alive, but I could have if I wanted to, but I just chose not to. I used the lasso tool, I selected that area, and I filled it with white. And the white I picked was from the white background, so I make sure it's a consistent white. And then I do the same thing for his skin, but here I'm using the eyedropper tool. For here, I think I used the lightest part of his skin, but I'm leaving the black outline, as in the line art, intact, but I'm filling everything else with the color of his skin. And I got the exact color using the eyedropper tool. The shortcut key for that is just hitting I, and then you click on the color you want. You just want to make sure you're on the right layer. Now, sometimes it doesn't matter whether you're on the right layer or not, and that's just a little quick fix at the top. Once you're on the eyedropper tool, you want to change it from current layer to all layers. That way you can click on anything. But that's not the case here. So here, the key thing is for me here is I'm trying to replicate that traditional feel. And I'm using the eyedropper tool over and over again so that I make sure I'm using the same colors. Now there's like this yellow highlight bounce light on his fingers, on the sides of his fingers, almost like there's a yellow light behind the character. So I'm keeping that in mind, making sure I'm using the eyedropper tool to click only on the colors of his skin. Now, obviously, it's not one consistent flat color because it has this cool texture feel that comes with using Copic marker. So I'm also trying to keep that alive. So the key thing for me to make sure I was consistent was experimenting with the brushes here. And these are not even customized brushes. These are the brushes that come with Photoshop. I did use some customized brushes eventually, but you can still replicate this without any customized brushes. So here I'm trying to look for a brush that doesn't feel so smooth and flat. And I think here are some customized brushes. I'm basically digitally painting this, trying to replicate how all the other fingers feel, and making sure that no one can spot the difference. And you will see how I end up pulling it off at the end. Because I think I did. I think I pulled it off. So here, I'm making sure it doesn't feel so flat. That orange was too dark. If you look at all the other fingers, it's kind of like darkest in the middle of the finger, and then as it comes down, it kind of fades away a little bit. So again, I'm constantly using the eyedropper to pick on colors because I have all the colors I need on that finger. So I'm just using the eyedropper, picking colors from the finger, and then putting it back in. Putting it back in the selected area. And I already selected the spot I want. That way I don't mess around with, the correct parts of the finger. You have changed the brush to something different, something that feels more like a skin. And if you look really closely at the details that the markers leave for the colors of his hand, you can see some white, not white spots, but like lighter spots. They almost look like pores, but you're not. Almost like white pores, but you're not. And I'm just constantly working and working over it and working over it until it looks right. Here I'm using an airbrush to give a little bit of a gradient feel. And I think, it's pretty good. From the selection, there's like a black line that the selection lines left at the top. But as you can see, I will use the brush and I'll fill things out quickly. Like right there, cover that up, and that's gone. And I'm making sure that it's consistent by using the eyedropper. Again, the shortcut key for that is just an eye. And now I'm going to create a new layer, completely new layer, to write the T over it. And I'll make sure that I use the eyedropper to get the same color for, I guess, the tattoos from the other words. So from the A or the H or the T or the E or the D, whatever you want to use. And I have a separate layer over it. So, maybe if I want to move it around, it's easier. So this is the only layer I made. This is the only thing that really, really makes it start to feel digital. But it was pretty easy to work with. And that was that. I think that, especially if you look at it from a distance, you would never know unless you were told. And then from here on out, I start to, sometimes what I do with some digital art, especially for my comic pages, this is the same mentality I have when I'm cleaning, like maybe ink blots and any errors I made while inking. I just correct it and I just work from there. But when it comes to fixing the actual error from the Copic markers, that was pretty much it. So, after that, I did more editing, and, I don't want to get too complicated doing like a Photoshop tutorial, but I used some of the adjustment things there, like the curves or the selective color and things like that. And in the future, I'll do tutorials on these things specifically. I think if I'm starting to do digital tutorials, I want to go slow. I don't want to bombard you guys with all that kind of stuff. I just thought this was a cool drawing, and I wanted to, post it up. And I thought the fixing of that error, that traditional error, could have been, is, not just could have been, is informational, educational for those who are interested. So that you can fix almost any error, especially today. Almost anything can be fixed. And it also hopefully gives you guys a more confident feel when you're doing traditional work, knowing at the back of your mind that it can always be fixed. But you don't want to rely on it too much. You want to make sure that you are getting it the first time around, especially if you're doing traditional art, just to still, I guess, be traditional, if you know what I mean. There are many other ways. This is how I do it, and I think it worked out pretty fine, pretty quick. Didn't take too long at all. It was just one mistake, done, dusted. For those who don't know me, I'm the creator of Apple Black, published and serialized on Saturday AM. You can read the first 4 chapters of Apple Black free online on the Saturday AM website, and you can purchase the first volume and the second volume of Apple Black, also available at the Saturday AM website. Links to everything you could possibly need will be in the description. It's also available on Amazon, so you can check it out there as well. That's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please hit that bell so you stay notified each time I upload absolutely anything. Don't forget to check out Apple Black, the first volume, the second volume. Don't forget to like this video. Leave a comment if you have absolutely any questions. And don't forget to hit subscribe, because more videos are on the way. You guys can also find me on social media at Whyt Manga on Instagram, my Facebook page, Twitter, all that good stuff. It's Whyt Manga, and I'm out.